I'll leave this over here. Yeah, I got him in my background because he's a master of shapes. So yeah, you can see like he really picks out like where they want their shapes. So looking at like animation masters is like it's perfect because they inherently want like that design. Yeah. Oh sure. Yeah, let's write them out. Artis. So we got. I'm gonna spell names wrong. It's fine. Evan Earl, and then we have uh Nobel. What? I know he has the book Nobel Approach. Noble Approach. I'll remember if that's his name. Sometimes I forget names, and I'm like Maurice Noble. That's it. They're very great. Come. Yeah, comic book artists will like simplify their shadows a lot, which inherently makes like really nice shapes. They're great. Anyone who's like your favorite comic book artist probably has very good understanding of compositional shape and simplification. Yeah, of course. I'll probably just like paste this. Yeah, yeah. I'll try to think of more artists later, but my brain's just not recalling any. But yeah, a cool exercise, like I've done this with Evan Earl's stuff, is like taking like their image and then like literally like draw over it to see like where they've made those broad decisions. It can actually inform you a lot about like their process. So yeah, let's try a heavy paint because heavy paint has some cool like tools to work with. My favorite one is I think the fill tool and then the line tool. Those two together are my faves because the fill tool inherently has these amazing like curves that will like happen and you won't even have a choice. Or you can try like triangular shapes. You can try squares. Ooh, please don't. You can try more square. We also have the rectangle tool, if you need it. Try a different color. Also, one day I'll use the actual RGB slider. I've been trying to transition to using it. Maybe I'll do it today. Yeah, on the fly. So then we have the linear tool or line tool. And this will just give us nice like straight edges, which we can use as well. I think we can try to hone in a little bit on this large image here. Yeah. I think I'll save this one like not for today, but if you wanted to like just like draw over it and try out some shapes, that's cool. I have it linked in the lecture comms. So let's try this one. So, biggest shapes. Start big, let's go. I'm not gonna be too big about color today. I just want to get into like shape. So you can use either fill or the line tool for this section. Let's try the fill. So you can get like a very straight edge and then you could like have that happen for you. think at the start I'll start with HSV, then I'll transfer to RGB when I want those like I like using RGB when I want those like color variations, but when I like first start out, I usually like to use HSV because it's just how it is right now. Yeah, I think it's because I'm more used to like Photoshop's like default, where like I think it does have something like that where like you just pick out whatever color you want. Ugh, yeah. Yeah, you can use the line tool if you're just like, I don't want to use you, Phil. You make me sad today. So yeah, at this point, like, feel free to ask questions. I'm just gonna start painting, and we're gonna see where it takes us. Now that we talked about kind of like the fundamentals, I think I'll try to start in the back a little bit just to see like where those shadows are. I think I want to bring this color a bit warmer. Don't need you. In real life, it's like I look out my window and it's like it's probably like up here in terms of like lighting. Probably a little bit more. Problem is I don't want to get like too bright, because then if you do that, you might like not be in your composition. You're not using your focal point. I think that'll do. Let's try a shadow. I think for the shadows today, we'll do a bit warmer. Just trying to figure out that boundary. It's a little bit like perspective stuff. Like you can go in hard and just like start doing your grid and stuff, but I don't think the perspective is as important for this one because the ground is uneven, and as long as the fence kind of lines up in a certain direction, it's not too bad for this one. For buildings, I'd like to be a little bit more picky. So right now I'm looking at the shadow behind the plants because I just want to make sure it's there so I don't have to like paint over it all the time. It'll probably change as I paint because I might discover like a shape I like or a new thing that interests me. So I think this is why like sometimes it takes longer for me to like figure out the story of a painting. I think if you do thumbnails, that's probably more advisable if you want to do more exploration. But in my own time, I'm just having fun. I'm here to chill while the world is like it is now. I think I'll do a different color for the, yeah. I'll pick something that's probably on a little cooler maybe. I'll probably change it later, but it's fine. I just want to get the shapes in. I think for this one, because I decided I want the focal point to be the strawberry planter. I'm just gonna go for it. We just go for it. We are fearless. We are warriors. I think I'll just put this all in shadow because I know there's like some lighting there, but there's like that plant in front of it that maybe I want to like experiment a little with, so I'll probably just block this off for now. Get my paint. Make this a little bigger. Why not? I'm just a little worried about like all that space, but if I hate it, we'll fix it later. I mean, I don't want to say that all the time, but you know, I try not to limit myself if I'm like scared. I just like, okay, I'll just keep going. I don't want it choked up. So this shadow is like a little bit more of a branch, so we can kind of like use our little bit of design here if we want to. Maybe we're like, I want like more branch. I want more. You could just like paint in another one if you want. Again, though, we're trying to find like Whereas like the big, medium, small, where's the variety? Maybe here. Maybe that's cool. Just a little bit. That's cool. So I got that there. I'll probably like line this up a little, like for now. We can add like deeper shadows like around the objects too later. So there's like a weird thing where like I'm looking at the photo and like I see the grass behind and it's kind of like lining up with like the top of the lid and I don't really like that, so we're gonna fix that. We are the masters of our painting. So I think I'll start blocking in the pots there just so we can have some fun. I like the purpleness of the two on the left and the right. They could be eye-catching, but we're kind of use them to like just bring some local color. We might not go too hard into their pigment. We'll make it lighter though. We'll do light on dark. I think I want it like it's also tangenting a little like at the edge, so maybe we'll bring it over a little just so that part of the pot isn't interrupting the edge. Whatever. We can get more specific. For this image, I actually like the shapes of the pots themselves, so I'm probably not going to be too like abstract with their shapes, because I actually like I want to like embrace that naturalness of them because they're inherently interesting, contrasting the foliage. I'll probably get more abstract, and usually I do this with plants because I think with plants you can get overwhelmed. It's kind of like when you're drawing hair. If you're trying to draw hair, like if you start out like thinking of the individual strands, you're kind of be like, oh, then you're gonna have just like a pile of strands instead of like, oh, the hair is going this way and that way as like one unit. So I think of plants like hair sometimes, or like clouds in the distance. I think for this pot, I'm gonna actually bring out saturation a little because I think it's cool. I think it's a cool pot. I want it to like be a little bit more standout because I know there's like that attractive purple. I think for this, there also is a little bit of weird tangenting happening with like the fence. So that's something we'll consider when we like, if we want to add like those details of the fence, especially at the bottom here. We'll probably won't even paint that in because it's just so like deep in the shadow. But yeah, we'll try to like lift it a bit because I can see it like this line of the fence. It's like feeding, like my brain thinks there's a tangent going on there. So we'll try to fix it. And because the ground isn't level, we can do whatever we want. We are masters of our own universe. So now I'm seeing too, like I don't want to tangent with my shadow, so I'll probably bring the shadow maybe just a bit over. So we can do that. We're cool. Let's see. I'll start out really bright just so we can see the shape. So yeah, as you're painting, like you are thinking a little bit about like lighting and color, like yeah. But just at this point, I just want to make sure my shapes are doing well. I think it would be easier to do like in a thumbnail kind of way, but heavy paint's fun because I love these like weird things you can do with it. I don't remember how much time I booked. I think it was until 1:30, so probably be until then. I like that the pot kind of comes out. I think part of the design is like I know it's kind of like, oop, hi picture. How'd you get there? Hold on a second. That was one of my references. Sometimes I'll like take the reference into Photoshop and I'll like try to figure out its composition. Here we go. We got her. She's back. So I see like there's like this interesting like change. Like there's like the shiny part And then there's the more like darker part here. And I noticed it kind of goes through the middle, so I think we're gonna apply like a design principle here, like a thirds or something, just so it's not like in the half. I don't know if I like that, so I'll probably skew it. So if I see like that pot there, this will be up here. So there's that shape that's like almost like a cone that's been chopped off. And then at the bottom, I think I'll actually make it longer, just so that it's like divided into thirds. I think that, like, just personally, I think it will like look nicer, just so it's not like super even. I think the evenness kind of works for like the fencing in the back because it's like very architectural, but for a little potted plant, I just want something a little different. That way we get a nice like asymmetrical kind of curve going on there. So like you can use like straight lines to like form a curve in a way, just to enhance like the edges of the pot, just so it stands out from the foliage. You can even clean it up a little. You're like, I'm going in on you in this one. That way, when we draw our foliage, she should be standing out. Because I actually like the way this kind of like pot looks. It's nice planter. Like I thought the strawberries died, but they didn't. So I'm impressed with them. I will paint them. So it has like these interesting like little things where like the strawberries will like come out of, because it's like they're at the top. So I might try to consider them a little bit right now. I'm gonna try not to like get too much into it, but like sometimes if you see something you really like, you just want to like immediately paint it. You're like, yes, fun. Let's see, I think that looks cool. And like this one, I think for this one, because it's like we know that there's some light, so maybe if you wanted to like just have a little indication for now, we can come back later. I think a lot of like painting I do is like it just looks super basic, and then like the last 2 hours it's like, time to render. Then you get your nice render, and that way you can control how much like once you get your shapes down, you can control like how much rendering you want to do, because it depends on your time limit. All right, that pot is cool. So I drew that forward pot before the pot behind it, because I think if I tried to draw that one behind it, it would have interrupted our focal point. So now we can arrange the green thing behind it to suit our needs. Yeah. I guess personally for me, well, thank you for bringing that up. I like to start a little bit more local, because that way I can kind of decide if I want to go darker or lighter, unless there's like a very obvious difference in the lighting. I think it can depend. If you're someone who's really confident, like, oh yeah, I know like how bright I want this, then you can like go into like the lighting right away. But for this one, I like to pick like a little bit more locally, and maybe even a little darker, so I can layer light on top. Hmm. Yes, that's good. Yeah, if people don't know yet, local color means like what if it was just like in neutral lighting? It'd just be like without light, or like a little bit of light, no shadow. Da, da. Yeah, let's get into this one. Sorry? Yeah, yeah. Mm, yeah. I think for me, I like to pick like in general like I know I'll probably add in some cooler light into like the shadows, but I wanted to start out warm just to like give off the feeling of like a warm sunny day, and that way I have like a warm undertone to the painting. Does that make sense? At least for this painting. Yeah. I think for like yeah, you're welcome. For an overcast kind of day, I think you can kind of pick like the local colors, or you can pick like a tone, like a base tone that you want to use. That's kind of like for some people, it can be a style choice of what colors they use. Sometimes I just like intuitively, like at this point, I'm not really thinking too much about the lighting. I'm just focusing on shape for now for this demo. But yeah, you can make those decisions beforehand and kind of plan out what kind of things you're gonna come across. Yeah. Right now, I'm just like trying to actually paint in the shapes. I spend too much time doing that sometimes. Let's see. Let's do like sticking to the warm undertone. Maybe. Actually, no. Go a little more blue, more local. I can change it after if I want to, but because I have it pretty broad, I can like, if I really want to, I could like go in there. If you're more advanced, you'd just be like, I know what color I'm using. I'm just a simple painter. So right now I'm trying to figure out how to like get these shapes in, and at this point I might actually draw in the strawberry that's like sticking out because that one is covering up that one, so I might try to block it in just to see how it contrasts with the thing behind it. So for now, I will like put in that color just to like make sure it's there underneath. But probably because there's a shadow too, you might want to try a dark color. So you might come across these problems and like you might decide to like for a second try to like figure out what's going on there. So yeah, just for this demo, I'm just gonna go in. At least we will try. I think for the strawberry plant, because it's like it's kind of framed inside that potted plant. Maybe I'll actually bring a sub. I think that's more accurate. But I don't want to get into this tangent, so this is where you're like, okay, I gotta turn on my brain for a second. I think that works. We might run into trouble here with the plant. I think for this, then, I think in the actual reference, it's actually a bit more over from the potted plant. So we'll actually do that. That way we come on. What's going on? Tablet stopped working. It's okay, I got a mouse. Oh, I think it's because like in the new version, it like doesn't let you do stroke there. That's why. Okay. Yep. That's just a glitch. It's fine. Maybe just so it's not like lined up there, we are the masters of our painting. So the shadow's getting like pretty big. I think it's because like I don't really have the margins like corrected to the. I think it's probably a little wider than the reference, maybe, but that's okay. You can see like I've changed some of the sizing because I think subconsciously I wanted this to be like more visible. So you can play with sizes too. It might be a little harder if you're trying to get really accurate to like something like a building and like you're trying to make sure the scale is good. For this kind of painting, like the scale isn't as important. So maybe for other paintings, like for buildings and streets and stuff, and like if you're drawing people in them, you might be a little bit more like tight on the scale. But for this one, we're having fun. It's like different levels of difficulty. and like challenge is probably the good word. Oh, there. I haven't even tried putting in the plants yet because I just know they're just really fun to do. So, and I just want to get these like pots planted because that's where the plants will come out. So just trying to make sure that they're there. So there's that other pot on the left. It's probably a little deeper in tone, whatever. She go there. Where do I want her? Maybe in the back a little bit. There. It won't be too bad with this here because we will have the plant coming up and covering it. So if it looks a little too like parallel, we can fix it. So I have that one up, that one down, but that's fine. The plants will tie it all together in theory. So this is just shapes. And for the shadow, I might lighten it up a little because I know like I might put some lighting, like just tell myself there is some like lighting that's gonna happen. So you bring her in there. We'll leave some of the green just so it like shows a little overlap because we know there's a little bit of something behind there. Later on, you can always like paint in little small pockets, like tree holes, or like later on you're like, oh, a little grass. But you know, for now we're gonna keep it really broad. So maybe this one we'll try that trick where I just like put this all in shadow. Maybe I'll darken this just a little. If I don't like the shadow, I'll like go over it a couple times. Let's see. Why not? I know like there's times of days and stuff, and like the shadow might be like a little like maybe it doesn't actually extend in real life that far, but I think if it looks somewhat believable, you can do those kinds of things. I think there's a time and place for like really accurate like lighting study and like laying out like grids and stuff, but sometimes you just want to paint sometimes. I think it looks cool when it's like rather extended. So, how are we gonna approach those plants? I think I'll just clean up these edges a little bit. So maybe I'll show where the rim would be. I have it stick out a little bit more than the reference, just so that it's a little bit more iconic. You can play with stuff like that. I think this one, I was blocking those shadows. I like using the line tool to like block in shadows, and if you turn on like the hue jitter, you can get some nice like color variety for free, which you can like color pick or you can blend or leave, which is fun. Maybe I'll bring it there too. So you get some like free like reflection. You can go in like with the fill and like actually like later on like actually chunk in some like planes. Try to get that color. Like, oh, it's reflecting some light, and then you can later on like use the mixer to like blend it in or something. But for now, we're just trying to get our shape still. All right, plant time. I think earlier I said I was gonna do this part. I think we'll start there because like there's a weird corner happening. I think eventually, if you want to, you could like move stuff around if you're desperate, which is always fun. So for this one, because I know it's quite forward, I can be a little bit more distinct with it. I think because there's that plant behind it, I think for now we're just gonna make sure we know that it's gonna be there. We might decide It's going to be there. I'll probably paint over this, but just like compositionally, I'm just marking it. I know, like ideally, you'd like maybe you'd paint the thing behind it, but for now, we'll just like leave that. Just so I know that's like a problem area I'll probably come back to. All right. Let's paint. So for this bad boy, I'm going to start with the one on the left, I think. And I know with heavy paint, like if you had like a layered software like Photoshop would make it easier just to like block in your shape and then like carve into it. It depends what kind of approach. I know with heavy paint, ideally you'd like layer a bit more, like the bigger shape to the smaller shape. But if you have time and you just feel like it, you can like, if you're like, oh, I wanted more in there later on, you just like use your blocked in color to like just fill it in. And that's why it's good to like keep it pretty broad at the start so you don't like run into trouble where you're like, oh, I have all these subtle colors. I don't know how to like get those shapes carved in because it's like I've already rendered it. Oh no. So yeah, that's why we're going to try avoid rendering. I think for this one, we can try the line tool. The line tool is really useful just to like, once again, get some like hue variation off the bat. It's not like too much of a problem if we want to like fix it. So I like to like look for stuff, like keeping in mind like when we did exploration, we have like, I think I'm doing like a curve this time. I think I want, yeah. Hello? I thought someone had a question. It's all good. I think plants are subjective in the way you want to like render them. We're gonna cover up that nasty boy down there. We don't need that. We don't need that tangent. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. For if I want to get real hard into like that nice like flowy grass blade down there, I can see like if I zoom in, maybe go away. Like this kind of stuff. Are you thinking about? Yeah, yeah. So what I think about is like I know we got that nice shape, but if we want to get like a little more natural, I'm already kind of doing it now because like I've done it before where I like to explore it. You let it happen, but you control the rhythm of it a little bit, and you can control the style because there's. I think for this plant, if you want to be a little bit more accurate to that plant, there's you could do certain shapes. You could decide you want to turn it into little wedges, or you can decide you want to try the line tool and just abstract them as like little squares, or like whatever other brushes you can try. I think if you decide on a shape, you can like stick with it. Like right now I'm going into the detail just to like demonstrate, but you might decide to like do this kind of impressionistic way of deciding what those plants look like. So that's one like style that you can do in heavy paint. I know in like Photoshop you might have a brush that you can like erase into just to get like some plant information for free. In heavy paint we're a bit more limited in that. And there's also ways of like, let's see, I'll just reverse a little bit. So yeah, you have the line tool, creates these shapes. You have the fill tool, which you can make shapes with. So if it's like poking out like these little wedges, I could go in like this if I wanted to. Where I have these nice like, it's like variation in the stem, and then you could, I'll just use a different color. just to see. You could go in and start doing these wedges, keeping in mind variety and sizing. So you have like a little small leaf, and like it is detail, but it's a way that it isn't too like time sensitive. And I do this kind of stuff maybe like if I wanted to, maybe like closer at the end. For a demo, I was just gonna do like the block urine method, but I think the block method's really good for plants that are like far away. All right, for this demo, yeah, let's try the wedges. We're just gonna go in. You can layer them on top of these shapes. So this is a little bit more detail oriented, and it might not be good if you want to like do some like detail work in the background where you add the lines. So yeah, if I was to go in here, I mean, you could always reverse engineer it, but you'd have to like paint over the shapes again if you wanted to clean it up. Let's see. Let's choose, because it's reflecting a lot of hot. I know it doesn't look very like warm in the photo, but in real life it's a little bit more orangey. So I'm just bringing it out a little bit. I think in photos, like if you get a photo that's like mine, where it's just kind of like whatever, you can have a lot of leeway in your color palette. You can choose like what you want if you're inclined to do so. So we could lay these down. I like to use the line tool because it's just like simple for that purpose. So we are going to run into like some tangenting because we are having these shapes come out. So as we paint, we'll try to not directly line up with these lines. We'll try to like maybe veer the inner shape and the leaves towards the side just so it's not completely tangenting. Let's see. Ooh. I'm just trying to decide the spacing if I want them to be like, we can go large. Sure. Oh, come on. I keep hitting the opacity change because it's like sensitive. I'm just going in just to lay it down. Of course, if you spent more time, you could be a little bit more accurate, but we're just gonna give her. Right now I'm just looking for like those darker like planes. Let's just go for it. I think it stops there. Yeah, there's like a post going on, so this is like post. And like later on, you can revise your shadow, so there's like a little breakup with like the slats. But for now, we're good. We're Gucci here. You can go over these lines later to like add in some shadow. But for now, I just wanna make sure we just know they exist. So yeah, how do we deal with that? Because already I'm like, oh no, I don't want to have my tangents. So we'll try to ease in some of these shapes, but still try to keep in mind the larger shape. And the way you do that is you just make sure that you still have these like, you could have these chunks that are still like showing the direction. So maybe this is like here. So you still see like that through like the illusion of the arch and the curve pointing towards the focal point. And I know like the shape of the, like it really depends. If you want to like have more of this natural kind of like the way it swoops out, we can include that too. So let's see. I would do that actually as like a more detailed thing later on, just to show what I mean. It would be like this. These would like just be little mini focal points that come out, and like you might have to do some like shape design to like make sure it doesn't conflict with your larger shapes. This is what I mean by like playing. Like you might find like a new idea that you like. How's the demo so far? Is everyone having a good time? That's cool. It is? Okay. Yeah, fun. So already like dope shapes. Yay. I'm glad it's helpful. So yeah, at this point we're just still like in shape land. Like I did show some rendering, but like just as like a preview. And I would keep like as you paint, like because heavy paint has no layers, I wouldn't like you could go in like fully and then carve it out, but you might just want to approach it where you just like you kind of meet it halfway, where you indicate like you can kind of draw that curve like up to there. Maybe I don't like that, just there, and then you can like have these nice like negative space pockets open up for you right from the get go, so you're not like worried about it too much. It really depends on how much time you feel like painting over stuff. So I know like the next plant is like a little more sparse, but we can try to like give it the effect of not like we could try to like give it some shape just so that we're not too hardcore, but it's closer to the focal point, so maybe we do want that detail. So I think for this one, I like using the line tool to start. We'll use like a lighter color. Then I like to explore kind of these masses, so let's zoom in just to see what they are. So you got like this big tangle in the middle, which is kind of cool. So maybe we'll like, using our line tool, we can also create the shape. And it gives these interesting like edges. If you're just like, you can scratch it in or you can like make it bigger. At this point, it's you're stylistically deciding. I like to put on some hue. Now you get some like things in there for free. You can also put a darker color underneath that's a little bit more separate from that red shadow if you wanted an under kind of color peeking through, but I think the hue shift is doing its job. So see here I notice like, okay, if I'm using this color, it's kind of light. We're gonna have to like work out this space eventually. At the end of the day, if you're like, I hate it, you can like delete certain sections and be like, you know what? There isn't a plant there. I could be like, I don't think there's a strawberry plant there. I'm just gonna put them all on the top here. You know, I do what I want. I'm the artiste. You're the master of your world. So yeah, I think you shouldn't be limited in like having your paint. Like you can decide where you want things. I think I'll make it a little darker because it's a little too similar to that back shadow. Right now I'm just drawing these little arches because it kind of like pretends that there's lighting there. Kind of just you're exploring the shape, and you might like join shapes. You're like, oh, I want like a nice big shape there. You're like starting to get it. Maybe we'll bring this back. So now we've created space actually a little bit. I would just like revise that a little. Maybe you want like this whole thing like a little more covered so you're not like getting weirdness there. At this point, like it is the focal point, so I think you can be a little bit more like noodly with it if you wanted. We'll just leave it like that. Those are some cool shapes. I like to try using like triangles. So like and sometimes I like using little 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 wedges, archways, half circles, because it gives you that curve and that straight. You can use it to like make these leaves or something later. What else is a cool shape? Sometimes I like to combine, like when I showed here, I like to combine them. That way you can have your variety. So that's kind of like still more small detail thinking. So we're just gonna go back to this plant for a second. That's the trap. I always get into that trap. I'm like, oh, that looks so fun to paint. I want to paint all the leaves. And then you forget to paint the rest. You're like, oh no. So we're gonna try not to fall. For this one, it's a little bit challenging where like, I don't know if I want to like leave a lot of like negative space or if I want to cover it up. I think for the bottom, because I don't like this tangent intersection, I'm gonna first fill that out a little because I don't want to look at it. And then maybe now I'll tentatively go in. I kind of want to keep that interesting like dynamic. So maybe we'll just leave those lines in to guide us. And then we can like have some of these strands just be a little bit more defined. And then that way you can contrast that. But if you want to keep within the style, you could go for the full like thing where you just cover more of the space. It really is up to you at this point. And then you can have some strands kind of come up. I like being selective of where that is. And that does add some natural feeling. There's like some dead leaves, so maybe I'll like use some of this like oblong rectangle action to like show it. And I might like go back here and like line it a little, but I just want to show like there could be some consideration. And using the fill tool this way gives like a bit more of like a natural like thing going, natural shape. So yeah, this is like the challenge is not like make sure there's no tangent, trying to make sure you might want to simplify later. Like if you look at it later on, you're like, I don't really like it. You might try to find a way of simplifying it. So I think this part will overlap the other guy. You can decide if you want it to or not. I think I will. I think there's some cool strands that come down. I like to leave those a little bit later because I want to like develop the render on this pot. So let's say later on you're like, okay, I've rendered this, like I wanted that mixer brush to give me that, depth. I got lighting on it. I'm happy with it. And then you've added some deeper shadow maybe. You're like, yeah. Like I think it's recommended to like get into that detail. And then you might indicate like, okay, some of the plants are gonna shadow, so I'm just gonna block in some nice shape for the shadow. And then after, you're like, I'm coming in with my lighting and I will paint it like a god. I will, no, don't tangent. I will paint carefully. I'm a god. I've done all my blocking, my rendering. I'm gonna overlap this. See, now you're like, okay, now it's easy because I don't have to worry about the pot behind it. If you're like drawing those lines, you're like, oh wait, you might have to like erase them, which is kind of like sadness. So yeah, let's finish the rest of these shapes. I'm just gonna block them in just so we know they're existing. I'm still trying to keep in mind these triangular shapes that like are negative space going in, and try not to make them too even. So like, sure, maybe we'll keep that one open. I know in like the reference it's like more in the right side. At this point you can kind of decide if you want it like more or less on one side. So for the shadow, I'm gonna probably cover it a little because I don't want that to like be too parallel. We might just yeah. Sometimes it depends on the it depends. It does help. Sometimes you're like whoosh. Sometimes you're like, I'm a musician and I'm wild. I'm just going ha shung. You're like, oh, that's cool actually. Yeah. So like with the tool itself, it always gives an interesting shape. And you might like clean this up or something. You're like, oh, I don't like it. It looks ugly. Fix it. You can go in. If you plan it out, maybe you don't have to, but whatever. We'll add these strands later. For this kind of overlap, I just kind of decide which one kind of overlaps better. And maybe this one actually has some like lighting on it that's like brighter. Maybe to that color we wanted. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like you green plant behind, so I'm just gonna do that. It can add some interest, but just keep in mind like it might get busy, but sometimes plants look interesting when they're just a little bit busy. It's like selective busyness. I think for the detail behind it, I would have like gone in with the line tool just to like give it some context. I think the stems are really good for like adding on top after. If you want like a very like stick straight looking stem. So like the stem, for example, you can like bring in some of those lines. This is like a little bit more detailed. So you're like, yeah, you could have like some leaf action in there. At this point, you're like, this is like problem solving on like a miniature scale. And I'd be careful not getting too bogged down by it. And you might be able to use some of the shadow to like recede the, like I noticed there is some shadow in there. I just haven't been painting it in. Once again, we can use our like these kind of shapes to like block in some smaller shapes. So maybe that'll solve it. So now when we get that, it will eventually make its way. Anyways, I think I'll move on from that section. I'd also recommend, like, before you add these like wispy details, you might want to like create like some gradients behind within your shape. But I'm gonna move on for now. But by what I mean by like gradients, you can actually use the line tool for that hue jitter. Maybe there's a bit more of a cool neutral back there. And we can like indicate that there is like maybe some plant life because the hue jitter gives that nice like thing, and then you can use it to clean up some shapes if you're inclined. So I know we're running out of time. Is there anything specific you guys wanted to know? I know I haven't really gotten into like the focal point or anything, but how is it so far? Finish. Yeah, I think at this point, like the lecture, like the time slot is ended, but maybe I'll just keep painting just to like if people are interested. But if you're out of time, that's all right. I know right now like the lighting isn't like super contrasty. Later on, like once I block in these shapes, I would go in and like start adding in smaller shapes for the lighting. So yeah, any questions you have, please lay it on me now. I generally don't do more detail work. I like to stick a lot of detail in as much as I can in heavy paint, but for some color correction, I might like do some like adjustment layer in post because my eyes adjust like horribly, so sometimes I have to like after the fact adjust. It's a good question though. I think if you wanted to, if you're like, yeah, I really love my painting in heavy paint, but I'm gonna take it to like render town, like that's fine too. You can go in. What shape do I do? Maybe I'll do I'd actually want to do some work on the background, like before I do the foreground as much, but we'll just indicate where it is for now. Just for you guys. We're talking about shape today. Can I do a second demo of the same piece talking about color choices, color temperature choices? I guess like that's like more like color lighting theory, which I could do another demo in theory on. I think for lighting, if you're studying it, like you're like, I really want to just like hone in on that. I don't know if I would like use this reference for that purpose as much. I think if I was to do another demo, I'd probably choose something a little simpler just to like explain the concept a little easier. I understand though, maybe on the large scale, maybe that would be handy. So maybe I'm a little uncertain maybe if I want to do like this kind of scale painting demo or if I want to try a smaller piece. I'll think about it. These shapes. I have it pretty like I know you can zoom out in heavy paint now, but what I do is I just literally like lean back. I'm like, oh, how does it look from far? Sometimes that'll tell you if your shapes are working or not. Maybe I'll clean this. Yeah, I think I would approach maybe this background a little bit more just to like, but for now, just shapes. Let's do this side. I feel like it. I'm gonna go with the line tool and like maybe get something going. I'm not going too crazy with these shapes right now because I feel like being a little chill. But you can go like you could like push the direction point. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe I'll make this one really big, really broad as well. And if you hate it, you can go in later and fix it. Maybe I'll start with a slightly darker undertone just to like. Uh. Yeah, feel free to ask me more questions or comments. Yeah. Right now I'm just doing one a day because I like to just like normally I'm like in my house listening to like or what like listening to podcasts or watching a video as I paint, and then I just kind of like it might take like several hours to do because I'm just chilling. At least right now, but if I was like at the office, I think I could try to do like at least two, depending on like what the subject matter is. I could try to do two. It might be more like one and a half. But I'm really distracted easily. I get like I'm like, oh, someone's talking to me, or oh, look at that interesting video. So it might take like a long time for me, but I think if you have time, like there's a place for like more standardized, like very like if you wanted to, you could do an exercise where you're like, how do I make this picture in like a minute or something? Like you could do like really quick exercises. At the moment, I'm approaching a very like kind of like I'm just painting. I'm just enjoying myself while I'm at home all the time. So yeah, sometimes. I think especially if I'm thumbnailing something, if I want to get really into planning, I generally go into color because I enjoy color just like off the bat. Uh, but for planning and for certain like studies, yeah, I'll do black and white. So we can try to carve it in. At this point, you can decide like what kind of like if you want that more natural curve going, you can paint it in. But I'm just like I just want these to stick out because like little straight lines because they're fun. You can use your hue jitter to like show it like a bundle. You're like, that looks cool. I enjoy it. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming. You can still find my social media in the lecture comms channel. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I was fascinated that people wanted to know, so it's fun to share. Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, yay! Thank you. I'll stick around for a little bit, but I might take a break and just chill for several hours. We're in the chill zone. Yeah, I'll just. Hmm. Right? Ugh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's. I'm glad that actually, yeah, my goal was to make sure that it was somewhat understandable because, yeah, I find like you can break these things down into like a kind of process that you can like alter if you want. But yeah, I'm really glad you found it handy. Thank you. Let's try some of these interesting like there's some overlap in the plant there. We could like do some. This is really detailed, but I'm having too much fun. I think my goal in painting is to make it like a good process just so like I don't get overwhelmed and make it fun. If you're working on a production, yeah, obviously you're gonna have like some art director to like bounce off of, and they'll tell you like which style they want. But if you're at home, you're doing your thing. We're just having fun, try new things. Hmm. Well, I have a bit of trivia. Uh, I don't think you'd be able to, unless you looked at my page already. I don't think you'd be able to guess what my first feature film was. My debut film. It's a movie about talking food that you might know of. Yeah, that was my first job. I was a junior designer and I did a lot of like character renders. So like they'd give me either a sketch or a 3D model that was like really bland, and I'd paint over it and make it like this beautiful rendered 3D looking thing. And that was a great time for material study because they're all like bottles and cans and food. It was awesome. It's my first film. I'll always cherish it. And for me, like I know there's a big scandal for the animators, but I was like in a different part of the building, so I didn't even hear about it until like I got out. Yeah, they weren't like there's some weird stuff where like yeah they weren't getting paid or something. Like there's like weird stuff like that. Like it was really bizarre because like I'm so innocent, like coming out of school, and I don't know anything, and I'm fine. But then like after the fact, I come out of the studio, I'm like, oh, that happened. I wasn't really friends with any of the animators, so I found out when the news came out. Oh yeah, I got paid. I was never like doing unpaid overtime. It was at the studio, so it was based in Vancouver. It's because Sony was producer. Wait, was it Sony? Annapurna. It might have been Sony, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that's their actual, like, they have their own in-house, so they have Sony Animation Pictures, which is like their actual, like, in-house animation studio. But then Sony's also a producer for, like, feature film and, like, other projects. So along with, like, other producers, they funded Sausage Party with, like, Seth Rogen being the main seller, main producer. So yeah, there was like Point Grey producer, like that's Seth Rogen's, and then there's Annapurna, which is like I know people from there, and then there's Sony, which funded it. So they weren't like hands on with it. I think they were just funding because they fund a lot of stuff. I think so. Hope my memory serves me. Because there's that like, sorry. Mm-hmm. So what do I think about the perception of Sausage Party as being like for adults? I actually thought it was great. Like you would watch like the movie reel a couple times and like some of the jokes would like be really old, but then you'd find like something else to like laugh about it. Like either the animator did something that was really funny or like certain quotes. But at the time I really enjoyed it. I personally think Sausage Party was a good thing for people. Yeah, it's definitely like not for everyone though. Like it's like especially towards the end it can get really raunchy. Like raunchy. Okay, so, like sexual. Very sexual at the end. Like it's funny though. It's but it can be like depending on like your taste. I wouldn't blame you if you're like, nope, not for me, not gonna watch this. Like, no, it's fine. I was very young when I worked like relatively young when I started on it, so it's kind of right up my alley. I'm like, oh yeah, edgy. Uh, 2013. So that would be. I think I entered the industry when I was 22. Yeah, which was like basically right out of like in the same year as I graduated university. So it lines up. Run into the shiz. Is there any other comments while y'all are here? I might take a break soon, so I'm tired. Let's try. I'm gonna hop off in 5 minutes. I've decided. I'll probably be on later though, just to chill. So I saw that and I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to because I have like other people in this house, so it depends what hour it's at. Oh my god. Maybe I'll listen. I'll come in and listen. What's your favorite like Disney kind of song? Yeah, it's so good. It's fantastic. Yeah, like the Away Away song. That's cool. When they're on the boats and they're speaking like the language and then they transition. It's really cool. You were singing that? That's such a power ballad. Well done. Oh, well done. Okay, I'll have to like come in to at least listen, even if I can't like do it. I'll be a judge. Joking. I'll admire it. So adorable. Mm. I think yeah. For now, I'll stop. I'm gonna eat food. So I'm so glad you guys made it, and we had this chill session. So good. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going. Goodbye.